empaths, welcome back to another crystal reading. Tuning into the crystal that's drawing you in visually and noticing how your energy flows into it. On the left, we have calcite, kind of a yellowish green calcite. In the middle, we have a druzy Chalcedony. And then on the right, we have Danburite. So tuning in to the one that's drawing you. Allowing your heart energy to flow in. And then I'm going to read from that crystal as it acts as a medium between us. Another moment. And you might notice that more than one reading resonates. So you might want to check out all of them as your energy might spill over into other crystals. All right, let's get started. Okay, so for those who chose the calcite, this isn't quite yellow. It's yellowish, but it's more like cream colored calcite. So we'll just go with calcite. So let's tune into the calcite. It looks kind of like an arrow. This was a gift, actually, an exchange. I exchanged with a friend, I remember, for a tiny piece of moldavite. All right, let's see. So tuning in to the calcite. I'm seeing somebody sitting under a tree to ground into the body and to learn how to connect to provision from Mother Earth through the trees and to network into that, as well as stay aligned to spirit and create balance that way. So you might be interested in going out in nature currently and kind of connecting to trees. That makes sense. There's also a link there to finances, prosperity. Like as the saying goes, money doesn't grow on trees, but go out amongst the trees to learn how to grow money. Well, that last part isn't part of it, but I just made that one up. So quote me. Go out amongst the trees to learn how to grow money. It's going to help you connect to Mother Earth, which is in alignment with provision, right? So if there's a disrupted connection there for whatever reason, sometimes it's just a habit of how we hold our body physiologically. It can also be connected to a relationship to Mother. You know, I bring that up. Mother's connected to provision. So if there's conflict there, we want to look at it and how that is a reflection of how we connect to finances and provision. It can be linked to Father, though, because while being receptive and receiving that provision and trusting Mother Earth, because this is about trusting as well that you will be provided for, learning how to also go and do in a balanced way comes from Father. So that's why the balance is coming in, right? The roots here from Mother. Oftentimes we feel more connected to the ancestral patterns of our mother. Of course, we get both, right? We get a little of both. But we might find that influence of Mother's side has a stronger hold on us. And who we are, right? And then Father teaches us how to do. So what does that look like? And what are we weeding out here? Because there's also, calcite, yellow calcite can be, although I know this isn't really yellow calcite, but can be working with the solar plexus, our drive, right? Our confidence. Calcite can also be absorbent, so it can help us get rid of patterning, right? Can help us work through some patterning. So maybe there's some patterning here around money, about irrational beliefs around money, maybe also compulsive spending. Maybe there's habitual spending here, or unnecessary leaking of money, and maybe that's something you're looking at right now. You're kind of weeding out. So, okay, a lot's coming at me. So if you're avoiding looking at where you're at, right? The amount of debt versus the amount of income, expenses, right? Spending. I understand it's, symptomatic of, it's a sign of the time, but don't be afraid to take charge of the situation right now. If you haven't, and if this is something you're avoiding, know that there's power in looking at reality and what's really happening. So, maybe you are looking to manifest finances in a better state, and you're already kind of doing that. Know that there's power in what's happening now, right? In reality. So we don't manifest by avoiding what's here and saying, if I look at my debt, I'm just going to always feel weighed down by it. How can we process reality in a way that allows us to move towards, right? Because we have to have proper footing before we can move forward into the future. So there's something about trust here, right? Trusting that we'll be okay with acknowledging reality, because we can't change it until we do. So looking at debt, looking at costs, looking at expenses, and cutting back on expenses we don't need. That's the only way that it's going to happen, right? If we kind of look at it and assess it. We do manifest through emotional resonance, but I'm not saying live there, just live in that feeling of the fear of money, right? This is what we're weeding out here. So taking an assessment, and then maybe going out into nature to ground down and work through the emotions that come up, working out the cycles. Perhaps if you have calcite, grab that, right? And allow it to assist you in working through and releasing whatever patterns coming up that is creating an unhealthy cycle. And this way, we're really taking charge of what we're bringing into the future. Let me see what else is coming in. And just mindfulness, right? There's power in mindfulness. And it doesn't mean giving into the emotional aftermath. It means being mindful even with the emotions around it, right? We have to walk through that sometimes to get to the other side and empower ourselves. And that's okay. And sometimes using the pain, right, of I never want to be here again, can be part of it. And there's something to be learned in nature. The archetype of the nature child is coming up. So perhaps as a child, you just felt very connected to animals, plants, nature. You loved being by water, whatever it is, right? Some kind of something in nature spoke to you, called to you, and you just felt an affinity to it and learned a lot from it, right? Can you see what you've learned by observing nature, or what you're observing now in nature? Or when you think about how sturdy a mountain is, right? And how slow moving it is. Can that give you a sense of certainty, sturdiness? A solid sense of self? Or when you think of an ocean wave moving and flowing, can you relate that to your emotions, right? And allow them to ebb and flow, and stand firm as the waves wash over, right? Like, what can you learn from your experiences in nature with the elements? And allow yourself to process this and learn things on a deeper level by watching those lessons play out, those metaphors play out. Also collecting images, inspiration, right? Images that re-inspire and motivate you into action. Action. Taking authority here, owning what you have authority over here. And this could be boundary work as well, right? When we're looking at solar plexus, are you learning on developing a stronger no here? Even with yourself, right? Discipline. Could this be anchored in money was spent on you to show love or something like that? So there's this association that's really hard to break. That's what keeps the pattern in place. Can we look at that and just observe it, right? And watch it kind of dissolve as we shine our light there, right? That's why looking at things how they are before we kind of jump into the imagination in creating the future can be powerful, right? Because we can shift simply by observing what's actually here, what's actually showing up, what's real, and be present to that and listen to it, hear it out. It doesn't mean we agree, right? It doesn't mean that's what we want more of. But we can be with it. We can be present with it and watch it shift, watch it evolve before our eyes, because it could be outdated and it's just we're not willing to look at it, so it stays in place. So what can you look at? This is why family constellation work was very powerful for me. It was like taking the images in my brain, the patterns in my brain from my ancestors, and watching them play out in front of me as representatives stood in for my family. Just the observation alone was powerful. And then I would step into the constellation and feel what it felt like to be in the position, right? There might be this underestimating those influences too, right? So learning from the elements. So just you're being encouraged because you have power here. And there are steps you can take. If you tune in, you'll be guided, right? When you think of waves of prosperity, be the rock, right? As they come to you, right? Get into this place of trust and certainty. And you may have developed that early on with your connection to nature in some way. So look at that. Does that resonate somewhere? Because this reading is strongly about prosperity, finances, money. And if that feels fulfilled to you, if you feel like you have enough, more than enough, you're able to give, and you're in a place, and you're not looking to manifest more, you might want to look where it's being prioritized in your life, right? And just looking at this, exploring this, and maybe even showing gratitude and seeing how far you've come, right? Looking back at the past and seeing how far you've come. Anything else? Prosperity wants to flow in. Prosperity wants to flow in. So the work, weeding out the patterns will help any way you're sabotaging or preventing, or not able to hold on to it, right? So in whatever way that's happening, Because also if you spend less, you need less, right? And your savings starts to increase. So this is just what we're looking at here. Archangel Raphael is coming in. You can call on Archangel Raphael to heal whatever patterning, right? As you work with your calcite or work with that angelic energy. Being one with nature. Again, the tree, right? Do you have this affinity to trees, or does the image of a tree do something for you? Maybe a tree, meditating on a tree. Because again, it's coming in. Money doesn't grow on trees, but go out and be amongst the trees to learn how money grows. Interesting. Oh, like a money tree. Maybe you have a money tree, right, that you're nurturing right now. Or that's something you're interested in getting. Looking at the feng shui cure around that, or the symbolism there. Actually having physical I Ching coins, right, that are in place. Or something that's the color of gold. Maybe you've, like, for example, I realized just now, I put away my really warm winter blanket and pulled out like a thinner blanket. It's actually gold in color. So maybe there's something like that that's happening. Oh, this is also a bit golden, isn't it? This color, now that I think about it. Like that, a hint of gold hue. Interesting. Anything else coming in? Just getting into the emotional resonance of what it is. Oh, if it's money you're looking to manifest, what is the emotional resonance of the state of having money? And go there first. Start there, right? Because you might go full throttle on filling up that bank account and still not feel the emotion or the outcome that you were seeking all along. You realized, I just wanted to feel stability, and maybe the answer wasn't money, right? So that's where the tree's coming in. So feel that feeling of stability first. And if you want to anchor that to money, do the manifestation visualization work, but make sure that you're not attached to an outcome in the physical world. Make sure it's that emotional resonance that you're seeking. And it can be anchored and associated with something you perceive would give you that. Sure, that would be helpful, right? That's part of visualization. But also make sure there's a clause in the agreement, this or something better, right? Because maybe that's not actually what will give you that emotional resonance after all, right? But you have authority here. Take control of what is in your power now, all right? I hope that was helpful. So again, some of the other readings might actually have medicine in there for you too. Let me know if this resonated, if this is what you're focusing on. Are you looking at finances right now? Are you looking at manifestation or creating that sense of certainty and stability internally? Something in nature is calling to you, calling for you, as well as Archangel Raphael for healing out some patterns here and addictions around spending or whatever it is, right? To create that stronger sense of inner stability. All right. Thanks for liking the video and subscribing to the channel. If you want a personal reading session, all the information will be in the description of this video. Or if you're feeling called and want to donate to the channel, that's in the description too. All right. I'll see you in the next reading. Bye, empath. Hi there to my Chalcedony, my Druzy Chalcedony people. So those of you that selected the Druzy Chalcedony, if it'll focus. When I first saw this in a crystal store, I thought it looked like there was a little baby or cherub in there. A lot of these types of Chalcedony, there we go. A lot of these types of Chalcedonies look like there's a little being in there, right? So right off the bat, if you chose this, right, is that something that is on your mind right now? Or questioning, right? Or considering whether or not you want children, or having a child, or adopting, or something like that. It might be something that you're considering or making a decision about. But let's tune in. I'm going to tune into the energy. So there is something that you're weighing here and working towards making a decision about. It might be something that's working itself out in the back of your mind. It's not even something you're giving conscious energy to, or conscious attention, awareness to. Something's working itself out. It might feel like the scales are balancing somewhere in the back of your mind about something, and it just kind of, you get glimpses that come to the surface occasionally. So your subconscious is working something out here. A change is coming. Positive change, blessed change in an area of life that you feel you have to make a decision about, right? A choice about. You're being encouraged to come online here, basically give mindful attention, conscious awareness to whatever's working out right now, to join the conversation consciously. But know that the process is happening already, right? The process is happening back there. Things are working out. And you'll get glimpses come to the surface. You might have this affinity and connection to fairies, the fairy realm, the elementals, the guardians of nature, right? The ancestors of the earth. Sometimes they'll show themselves to me as little pinpricks of light in the room. I'll actually see it in the room, but it's when my gaze is softened. It's not when I'm looking, right? When the gaze is softened, all of a sudden I'll see a little pinprick of light out the corner of my eye. Similar to when you stand up too fast and you get those little dizzy things, although they don't move with your eye. So that's how you differentiate. And they're smaller than that. I'll see that occasionally. I haven't seen that for a while. But you have a connection to divine energy, maybe more of an affinity towards those earth spirits, those elementals, right? Fairies are oftentimes playful, mischievous. They're the dancers, the actors, right? The comedians. They're very playful, mischievous types. And some people do find that working with them in manifestation can be powerful. Perhaps there is something you're working through around faith, right? Knowing what to put your faith into. What do I believe in right now? And know that there's an aspect of you that's connected, right? There's an aspect of you that's connected to the unlimited, right? To infinity, infinite potential. And that part of you, that spiritual part, that higher self, knows what you need to do right now, knows the right way, and knows what step you need to take. All you have to do is tune in, right? So this is about listening, tuning in. And trusting the guidance, right? Your own guidance system. What is coming in for you? Could this be artistically related or creativity, right? Maybe because it can be similar, right? A creative idea wants to be birthed through us. moving in a new direction. Where do you want to put your focus? This metaphor, people use this metaphor all the time. I learned this metaphor from Tony Robbins. Put your focus in the direction you want to go. This is something they teach race car drivers, right? If you're driving, don't, and the car's going out of control, don't look at the wall, right? Keep your eye focused on where you want it to go. Put your attention there. Where your attention goes, energy flows. So stay focused there. What is the destination you're seeking? Keep moving towards it and keep your attention flowing there. And, you're co-creating with a higher power here, right? There are co-creative forces. You're not in this alone. Can you connect to your network, right? So join. So you're maybe seeking community, and know that you're never without community, right? You might not see them here on the earth plane, but you're always networked with ancestors. That life force energy is flowing through, moving towards the future. When we create order there and a wingspan, right, by tuning into that, it helps us continue on that trajectory towards our future. You're also being encouraged to look at some of the foods that are coming in, that you're taking in right now. Some of them may not be the friendliest for you, and if it's creating irritation in the body, you want to look at that and weed out as much of the irritation as you can, because it will create emotional irritation, right, and irritation with other people. So if you can start really being mindful about what you're taking in, more natural foods grown in the sun. This is for me too. Like I need this advice too. I've been putting food prep and stuff to the last minute. Sometimes that happens when there's an abundance of time. For me personally, that's what's happening in quarantine. I'm taking less time to make sure I'm preparing optimal foods for myself, and that's not really like me, and it feels very irritating. I don't feel good about that. So I know I got to go back to foods that are grown in the light, right? Things that are nutrient dense and not irritating to my system, because I have a very sensitive reactive system. And if you are a sensitive as well, right? Highly sensitive system, highly reactive system, empaths, right? We have this. Consider what you're nourishing yourself with, and maybe not just with food, maybe who you're talking to, who you're receiving, right? And maybe this is also this decision you're making. Where do I put my energy and focus and attention? And is it in alignment with where I want to go, right? Do people share my values? Maybe this is all coming up and it's in the form of irritation, right? It's like if you come out of a Zoom meeting, for example, and you feel irritated, that's probably not a good sign. But if you come out feeling nourished and supported, and it's a win-win, things like that should feel like a win-win. So consider that. And we align, we align first with what we're taking in our bodies, right? So this one might be for me. So I feel you. Right? And this might be you're refining what you value right now, what you want to create going forward, and all the potentials, right? You're weeding through what's priority right now to look at and focus. And once you have that decisive energy in place and you're certain, you have a certain amount of certainty, right? Because you'll have to walk through uncertainty as well. It's the nature of life, right? But once you feel pretty certain about at least the emotional resonance of where you want to where you want to go, stay focused there and keep going. This could also be a directive to somebody who is looking at the past, right? Looking at the past. And this isn't about becoming future oriented, right? Because that can create anxiety. It's about being present, but facing future, right? Because when we talk about this in family constellation work, sometimes we are looking back because we have a sense that an ancestor, recent or distant, suffered, and we don't want them to suffer alone. So it keeps us stuck, right? This is how we might show allegiance or love. We can evolve that though, right? If we look at that, chances are that's something we've never really looked at. We can look at that and see that that's not really serving anybody. That's that ancestor has resources too, right, in the ancestral system. So our energy is not effective going back that way, in that direction. In fact, it creates more irritation because it's just sort of pooling there, and it wants to flow to the future. Similarly, if we have a parent in front of us because we had to caregive in some way, right, emotionally or otherwise, it creates disorder and irritation, and it's too heavy. So it's up to us to take our proper place, and we do that in the mind. So can we allow them to support us? Even if we don't feel their support in life, we can put them in their proper place, in the proper position, and know that our future is where we want to be facing, right? And keep going there. And that might give us a better sense of peace, because this stone is also about peace, right? Chalcedony. Oh, the Druze. That's why fairies is coming up. The Druze energy can attract those elementals, right? They look like little sparkles. And the Druze on a Druze Chalcedony creates little sparkles, right? So it can attract in and also symbolize, right, that realm. So that in that sense, it can give us a little bit more vitality. But Chalcedony is really about a sense of peace, calm, soothing, right? Soothing the emotions, soothing the irritations. So consciously assess right now what you're taking in, what you're allowing in. What resonates with peace right now? Do you feel peace after coming out of a Zoom meeting or talking to a friend? Or do you feel a sense of peace? Does it feel like a win-win? Like, that feels good, right? This is one way we can assess whether something's actually nourishing for us and healthy, right? As opposed to, I'm spent. Wow, I gave all of myself there. Left it all on the other line, on the other end of the line, right? Well, we might want to consider that, because in that sense, are we making ourselves too big in that person's life? Are they seeking parental energy and we were called to caregive to a parent, someone who was bigger than us in the family system? This is family constellation theory. So that might resonate with us. We're like, oh yeah, I do have that authority to give you parental love. It'll be unsatiating for them, and it'll just use you up, right? So consider renegotiating those things. They're unspoken, but consider being more mindful about your boundaries around that, and not coming out of yourself to give. Can you stay in and have this reciprocal, balanced connection? And which ones are already showing up that way? And can you say to the universe or God, right, or the fairy realm, whatever energies you're working with, or your higher self, more of that, please. More of that. More win-wins. Right? I hope that was helpful. I hope there was some medicine there for you. Check out the other crystals. There might be messages in there as well if your energy spilled over. Thanks for liking the video, subscribing to the channel. That's so valuable to me. I really appreciate it. That feels like a win-win to me. If you want a personal reading or session, there's descriptions of the session work in the description of the video. And I think that's everything. Other social media platforms, all of that. You can find me there in the description. And I will see you in the next reading. Bye, empath. Hi there to those of you that chose Danburite. Isn't this a lovely piece? Nice big piece of Danburite. I think I saw this in a crystal shop in Canada when I was visiting with a friend. I believe that's where I got this. It's really beautiful. I had to have it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I feel so connected to that. really loving stone, heart healing, harnessing all that potential for manifestation, things like that. Very healing spiritual stone, accessing the spiritual wisdom. Let me tune in to those of you that chose this amazing piece of Danburite. So, I mean, no surprise. I'm sensing you're on a healing path, right? You might feel very connected to healing energy, some kind of body work, hands-on healing, or energy healing. That might be something you're good at, but it might be more subtle than putting your hands on somebody. You're on a path of self-mastery in some way, some aspect of life. Whether or not you consider yourself that there's a hardship you've come through, you've built a lot of inner strength around and faith in the process, right? And so even though it might ebb and flow, you're very familiar with going through this process and assessing the territory, right? And where you're at in the process. And you acknowledge it's a journey. And you're able to have a sense of stability around that, even though the outside circumstances aren't stable. That sense of stability, that sense of certainty, that faith that anchors you into it. Whatever system, whatever belief system that's anchored to for you, it provides a lot of strength for others through your modeling of it, right? A lot of us want to feel that we have to teach, right? We have to teach the concepts, right? Or we have to, or we're in this state of proving that we know so people will listen. But there's so much power in really embodying the change, right? You have this ability to, you have a healing presence through embodying the healing energies that you've had to access for yourself. You're embodying them for others now. You're modeling behaviors, and it's helping others anchor into their own sense of faith, sense of certainty. And you might sometimes get pulled out, right? You're looking for the manifestations of what would prove value to you, right? What would prove that you have value and influence, and anchor it into the physical world by being a physical object, or money in the bank, or just displays of gratitude, whatever it is, or another person, a significant other, whatever that sense of being outside of you is. Know that the answered prayer and the wish fulfillment is the emotional state. So that sense of stability, right? Say you were in this inner conflict, in chaos, heart hurting, right? This emotional storm. And you're calling on a higher power or your higher self or whatever it is to ease this pain, to bring you whatever it is you sense will give you a relief. And even though you don't see it out there yet, know that your prayer was heard. And that the emotional calm, right? And the sense of peace and the sense of certainty and faith, that was the answer. That is the answer to the prayer. And the manifestation is on the way, right? It might not be in the form that you expect. So don't attach to the expectation, and don't attach to what's outside of you to create that feeling. That emotional state That is the answer. That is the answer. That is the mastery. A lot of work on yourself. Wow. A lot of work on yourself. There are ascended masters working with you. Perhaps you're on this path to self-mastery and you're looking at religious figures or this idea of these ascended masters or angels or whatever it is as guides to how to show up, how to be. You're that for somebody. You are that for somebody else, because I mean, we never get to a destination, but you've reached a level where you inspire hope in others. And your presence provides healing for them. And I'm feeling like emotion coming up. Like I feel that part of you doesn't feel like you're enough. And you get tempted to come out of that place of calm and certainty that who you are is enough. You feel like that can't possibly be true, that your purpose must be in doing. But know that the message here is the way you show up, the modeling of the behaviors and values and standards that you have, and your beautiful presence, the energy that you have worked hard, right, to refine and purify and master. That's a gift for people. And when you walk into a room or when you interact with somebody and they experience that, whether or not they express their gratitude, know that maintaining that sense of inner peace or certainty and faith or whatever this is, this calm place, this oasis, right, this sanctuary inside, because you take such stellar care and you've been so mindful here and you've invested, right, that's the gift, that is the gift. And this organization, there's this organization. In internal family systems, they might call that self-presence, right? Self with a capital S, the higher self, that higher aspect, that compassionate part, the patient part, the creative, playful, the one that's observing, right? The one that, the part, it's not a part, it's your true self. It's who you really are. And you've done so much work that you're able to bring that into situations and circumstances and lovingly witness and observe for others and maintain that for the most part and acknowledge that these are moving parts, these other things, these emotions and fears, right? And ways we push people away or sabotage ourselves, they're parts. And you're able to observe from this higher vantage point and have compassion for yourself and self-acceptance and your ability to be okay even though you're not perfect, right? Because that's unachievable. That's irrational to think I won't love myself until I'm perfect. Then we'll never love, right? We'll never show love to self. And therefore, love for others will be incomplete, right? Because it's in the modeling. How much more influential is it to as opposed to being with a teacher, you know they're not walking their talk, but they're telling you what to do. And you can tell it's kind of just on the mental plane. It's just on this level. It's not something they really embody. It's something they heard or read and they're just rehashing it. As opposed to the person who's walked through the experience and mastered something and now they embody it. And they don't even really have to transmit it with words. It's just how they show up, right? They have a standard for kindness. They have a standard for boundaries of behaviors, lines they won't cross. And it creates this sense of peace and safety and trust for others. And that's a gift that you bring, right? Your willingness to accept all your parts, even the ones that are a bit broken, right? You can see that even though maybe your heart was broken, betrayed, right? The human experience is full of pain, that even those pains and those slights and those betrayals happened, and they may have broken your heart, that those broken pieces healed back together, and now they're stronger in discernment, right? In boundaries, in empathy for others. Like now I've learned the pain of the other side. I wouldn't want to inflict that, right? People that have experienced a lot of rejection or betrayal or pain or abuse, when they use it to grow in empathy, they use it for their own growth. They are just simply unwilling to inflict that on somebody else, right? So instead of taking your pain and injecting it, you've learned to remove yourself from the situation, distance yourself, and take care of yourself. And no longer allow, right? Have firm boundaries around not allowing allowing that to pull you out of who you are. And it's probably not a perfect system, right? Because you're a human being, and that's okay. What the message here is, those moments where you were able to contain that and maintain yourself were healing experiences, right? Maybe even more so than consciously giving advice or massaging or energy work, whatever it is. Those moments where you displayed the values and qualities that you wanted to see, those moments where you were the change that you wanted to see, people were able to anchor into your strength. And if that could be part of your journey going forward mindfully, that those are the moments that really count, right? And that you're somebody's wish fulfillment. That's another thing. Someone has been wishing for someone like you in their life, and you are someone's wish fulfillment. So perhaps someone has expressed gratitude for who you are recently, or right, and this is confirmation, like you're being guided on this path, and you're here to master something about yourself. Maintain yourself in a way that inspires others. Much like the path of an ascended master has, right? They reached enlightenment. And maybe you won't get out of the ebbs and flows of the karmic path this time around, but you're really able to maintain a state for a length of time that is helpful, healing, and inspiring to others to help them do the same, to show them and mentor them by modeling. And that's a gift you have. And in that sense, anywhere your energy goes, it's a blessing. So I do hope it's inspiring to hear that even though You might be judging yourself harshly, criticizing yourself because you have this sensitive heart, right? It doesn't want to create pain for anybody else, right? Or that you're really firm in your values, and what you know that you're not living in them when you feel the pain of not living up to them. That, you know, your presence is a gift, and your sensitivities, your compassion, when you choose to maintain them, even when it's hard, and you do so more often than not, it's a gift for other people. It's healing for others. Your presence is a gift. Truly, your presence is a gift. So, so be gentle and loving to yourself. You deserve it, right? I hope that was helpful. I hope that was medicine. That was very moving. I can feel the healing presence of your loving heart. So thank you for that gift. And, you know, perhaps another one or the other two crystal readings resonate with you, as your energy may have spilled over into those. All that loving heart energy, I can feel it. Thanks for liking the video and subscribing to the channel. That really is valuable to me. I really appreciate that. And, you know, sharing with a friend if you think that it would benefit them. If you want a personal reading or session, that descriptions of those will be linked in the description of this video. Am I missing anything? I think that's it. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for the gift that you are. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye, empath.